In 1996, a physics professor submitted an academic article to a respected cultural studies journal. The paper had an impressive title, Transgressing the Boundaries Toward a Transformative Hermeneutics of Quantum Gravity. It referenced famous philosophers, it used sophisticated theoretical language, it discussed physics, epistemology and postmodern theory. There was just one problem. The article was complete nonsense, and it was published. Shortly after publication, the author revealed the truth. The entire paper had been written as a deliberate hoax. This strange episode, now known as the Sokal hoax, became one of the most famous controversies in modern academic history. The architect of the hoax was Alan Sokal, a physicist at New York University. Sokal specialized in mathematical physics, but he had also been following debates in the humanities about science, language and knowledge. In the late 20th century, many scholars in cultural studies and philosophy were influenced by postmodern thinkers such as Jacques Derrida, Jean-François Lyotard and Michel Foucault. Some writers argued that scientific knowledge was shaped by social and cultural forces rather than representing objective truth. Sokal believed that certain interpretations of these ideas had gone too far. He suspected that some academic fields had become vulnerable to arguments that sounded sophisticated but lacked intellectual rigor. To test his suspicion, Sokal conducted an experiment. He wrote a paper filled with complex jargon, references to well-known philosophers, flattering statements about postmodern theory, and absurd interpretations of physics. For example, the article suggested that physical reality itself might be a social construct. Sokal deliberately mixed real scientific terminology with nonsensical philosophical claims. His goal was to see whether a journal would publish the article simply because it sounded intellectually fashionable. Sokal submitted the paper to the cultural studies journal Social Text. At the time, the journal was preparing a special issue discussing the relationship between science and culture. The editors accepted the article. It was published in the spring of 1996. To readers unfamiliar with physics, the paper appeared sophisticated and theoretically ambitious, but soon after publication, Sokal revealed the truth. In another magazine, Lingua Franca, he explained that the article had been intentionally meaningless. His goal had been to demonstrate that certain academic circles were too willing to accept complex arguments without carefully evaluating their substance. The revelation triggered an enormous controversy. The incident quickly became a global intellectual debate. Scholars from multiple disciplines argued about what the hoax actually proved. Some scientists and philosophers supported Sokal. They argued that the hoax exposed serious problems in certain areas of cultural theory. Others criticized Sokal's tactics. They argued that the hoax was unfair and misrepresented the ideas of scholars he targeted. The debate soon became part of a larger intellectual conflict known as the Science Wars. During the 1990s, tensions were growing between some scientists and certain strands of postmodern theory. Many scientists defended the idea that science aims to describe objective reality through empirical investigation. Meanwhile, some cultural theorists emphasized how scientific knowledge is influenced by social, political and historical factors. The Sokal hoax intensified this debate. To some observers, the hoax revealed weaknesses in academic publishing and theoretical scholarship. To others, it represented a misunderstanding of philosophical discussions about knowledge and interpretation. Regardless of where one stands in the debate, the Sokal hoax highlighted several oddities within academia. First, it revealed the potential dangers of intellectual fashion. Ideas that become popular within a discipline can sometimes be accepted without sufficient scrutiny. Second, it demonstrated the importance of clarity and rigor in academic writing. Complex language does not necessarily guarantee meaningful argument. Finally, it reminded scholars that academic publishing systems are not immune to errors. Peer review can fail, editorial judgment can be imperfect. Like all human institutions, academia can make mistakes. Following the hoax, Sokal collaborated with physicist Sean Brickman to write a book called Fashionable Nonsense. The book criticized what the author saw as the misuse of scientific concepts in certain philosophical writings. The controversy sparked ongoing discussions about interdisciplinary scholarship, intellectual responsibility, and the relationship between science and the humanities. Even decades later, the Sokal hoax remains a famous example of how academic culture can sometimes produce surprising and controversial outcomes. The Sokal hoax is both humorous and unsettling. It shows that even within institutions devoted to careful scholarship, mistakes can happen. Complex language, intellectual prestige, and disciplinary boundaries can sometimes obscure the evaluation of ideas. But the controversy also produced something valuable. It forced scholars across disciplines to reflect on how knowledge should be evaluated and communicated. In that sense, the hoax became more than a prank. It became a moment of self-examination for academia itself. And perhaps that is one of the most important oddities in intellectual life. Even a joke can spark serious philosophical debate.